Hi there, I'm Celeste Perry. So excited to be here today talking with Susan Bolle, who is a Marin grassroots leader, and John Bagala, Union President of the Marin Professional Firefighters. Now, these two leaders, and that's leaders all caps, let me tell you, have joined up to be the two Joe Biden delegates to the Democratic National Convention for Congressional District 2. That is the district, the Jared Huffman. Jared Huffman is our representative. The election for the convention delegates is Friday, June 5th. So that is tomorrow on my calendar, June 5th, Friday is the election. It's an online election system. We'll talk a little bit more about that. And certainly if you registered for your ballot, you're awaiting it and it will arrive. And Susan will give you a few details about that. So Susan's a grassroots leader with years of experience leading volunteers to take action. And I would just like to publicly say that I know because you have led me. I have wanted to be led by you. I had heard about you. That fateful night in November of 2016, I reached out to a friend the following day and said, who can help me change the course of history, please? And she said, if you can find this woman named Susan Bolle. And I did, and I'm so thankful for that, for all the amazing and important electoral work you do. So Susan, you were a delegate to the 2016 Democratic National Convention, an elected delegate. And can you tell us a little civics lesson here? We all think we know what delegates are, but what are you? What is it you do?
Yeah, so delegates to the convention have a role that starts before the convention and continues after it. We're the standard bearers for the Democratic Party. We're Joe Biden's army. We're the ones who are going to advocate for him, be all over social media, inspire our volunteers to get to work and take action. And we're going to basically make sure he wins in November.
Okay, and well, I just want to say, because I have endorsed you, obviously, that I feel like we are in such good hands with you doing that great work. And so what was it like? I remember sitting here in this very same room with my beloved mother-in-law, who was in her late 80s at the time, and she wore all white and sat on the couch with me, and we watched Hillary accept the nomination. And it just seems like, as we all know, a completely different universe that we're living in today. And clearly some of us could see it coming, and here we now are. So tell us, just take us back. What was it like to be at the convention, Susan?
Well, I was one of 4 elected delegates from Congressional District 2 who went to the 2016 convention for Hillary. And I too will never forget the moment when Hillary accepted the nomination. I get chills thinking about it. We felt so positive. We had such an amazing convention, the best speakers. Reverend Barber, it was the first time I saw him speak, President Obama, Michelle Obama. And I sat with elected officials from all over the country and amazing delegates. And you probably saw the TV coverage, which, like the media is doing today during our crisis, focused on the conflicts, not on the positive accomplishments of the convention. So we voted all together for Hillary, and Bernie stood up and talked to his delegates about supporting Hillary, and we went on in November to lose. So I never want to see that happen again, and I think that is what is really firing me up to go to the convention this year, because I see some of the same problems we had with unity in 2016, we are having again today, and it just can't happen. We have to take urgent action on so many issues. We have to get the government we deserve. We have to win in November. We have so many important issues that are being ignored now, and in fact, on climate, we see, on racial justice, we see it is going in the exact wrong direction we need to be going. So I'm hoping that with my years of experience leading volunteers to take action, that I can, at the convention, and in my community, try to make sure everyone in our party feels heard and included, and they all understand how important it is for everyone to vote in this election. No one can sit it out.
Yeah, I just want to say that is the work you do. You're in the Democracy Action Marin. You're the co-founder and leader of that organization. And we have been working from day one, really, you have, harnessing all of our outrage. And we've been working on on elections. And I'm just thinking about all the different elections we've worked on. We were there for the blue wave, and we've been calling Georgia voters. We're in it. We are in it to win it. And these are, and I don't think that this is hyperbolic, these are really, really dangerous times. So thank you so much for all the work you do. And I want to talk now a little bit to John, and I know that you folks have your origin story. John, how did you meet Susan?
A little backstory. So I was the chair of the Political Action Committee for the Marin Professional Firefighters. And our Political Action Committee is completely involved on every local race, whether it's a school district, a water district, every tax measure, every bond, every reauthorization, and then every city council, district, and county board of supervisor. So we've kind of existed in the same space, I believe, well, Susan and I, for a long time, as kind of dealing with the different politics in Marin County. We traditionally sponsor a table at the Marin Democratic Party. What's funny is there'd never been an opportunity for true collaboration. And what happened is in 2016, obviously there was a lot at stake. We were kind of reading the tea leaves looking forward. And unfortunately for us, our International Association of Firefighters, which is based in Washington, D.C., decided to stay neutral in the race for president. And our state association did the same. The Marin Professional Firefighters, we got together, our political action folks, and we said that just wasn't going to do. And so we were the first firefighters union, labor union, local, in the United States to actively endorse Hillary Clinton. And we decided if we're going to do it like we always do. We're going to be in it to win it. So we authorized funds. We decided to make a mailer, which we sent out to 250,000 residents in Marin County, and decided to start to attend the events. And then I met Susan through those efforts and, felt really strong about everything that we were doing. But, we also know that when it came to voting day, the turnout was less than expected. And unfortunately, we had what I would consider a tragic result.
Yeah, I think tragedy is not overstating what has happened. So tell me about your endorsement of Joe Biden this year. You have a great story about when that relationship began.
Well, for us, we're lucky enough that the firefighters in general, we've had a relationship with Joe dating way back into the early 70s when he first started in the Congress. And, as a representative from Delaware, Joe has been hand in hand with firefighters, with public safety, with working people from the very beginning. We've had a lot of opportunities, obviously, as he moved up to different positions of power within the United States Senate, obviously as the vice president. His influence just grew, and he never forgot about the firefighters or the working people. So as he continued to find new opportunities to help us, he never balked. In fact, if they opened the door a crack, he'd run right through on our behalf. And we've never forgot that. So in March of last year, Joe had not yet declared that he was going to be a candidate for this upcoming election cycle. We had our legislative conference in Washington, D.C., and Vice President Biden and his wonderful wife, Dr. Jill Biden, they came by to see us, got up on stage, and Joe gave us some remarks, and we all surprised him by having 1,200 signs that said, "Run, Joe, run." And so we gave him a pretty big push to try and get him to get involved because really we knew he was the candidate we needed. And it wasn't any slight on any of the other candidates that were considering running at that time. It was just that we definitively could say we had a 40-year history with Joe Biden where he's taken every opportunity to support public safety and working people.
Right. So Joe's your guy. I know that you spoke a little bit about, it was a very sweet story. Just he has long had a relationship because he knows the pain of having to rely on firefighters and safety people.
And it's true. Very early in Joe's time in Congress, he suffered a tragedy as a result of a motor vehicle accident where several of his family members were killed, unfortunately. The local firefighters were there. They were part of the response and part of the rescue and the recovery. Joe survived, other people in his family. And they just continued to offer support to Joe. And, he never forgot that. We don't do it for any sort of recognition in any way, shape, or form. But it is interesting to watch when that triggers certain things in people where they realize the importance of the public safety and what we do. And, from that day forward, he's been our champion. you know.
Terrific. And so how big is your group when you talk about your endorsement? How many people are we talking? How many?
So for us, the International Association of Firefighters represents just shy of 400,000 firefighters. That's throughout all of the United States and Canada. Obviously, they won't be voting in our election, but also all the affiliated territories, the U.S. Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico, American Samoa, Guam, Marianas Islands, and the Panama Canal Zone. So it's a large footprint. And, you know, we have people that are have different realities, economic realities. They come from different areas. But unanimously, our firefighters executive board decided that Joe Biden was a candidate for us.
Okay. And now who doesn't love and trust firefighters? I mean, I think your endorsement is such a powerful statement about how important it is to get behind Joe Biden. I mean, honestly, you're firefighters. You're the people.
We work really hard to cultivate the public trust. You know, we recognize the fact that we're in people's houses. We're with them when they're having the toughest times. We're also there for a lot of the fun stuff too. You know, the kids' birthday parties and the school fire drills and all those things. But you know, I think the trust of the public is super important. And generally, because we've always been so protective of that, we've had a tendency on national stages to try and stay political. Because, you know, truthfully, when it comes to state funding and so forth, we have states that are extremely red, and we have to have relationships with people on both sides of the aisle. That being said, this last 3.5 to 4 years has sent a very clear message about the importance of being involved, and there's no way we're sitting this one out. So.
I'd like to say something about this too, because I think that in this historic moment and tragic moment that we're in right now, faced with so many crises of monumental size, the contrast between Vice President Biden and the current occupant of the White House has never been so clear. And just hearing Joe's words yesterday, seeing him at some of the protests, seeing the empathy that it just is part of his being, it just was so clear that he is the perfect nominee for this time to be president.
Yeah, I agree with you. And obviously, John does too. And we're hoping that everybody who understands how important and precious that right to vote is will be there with us in November. We'll be there with Joe. So John, real quickly, I just thank you so much for talking about Joe Biden and giving us like a little personal window. And you said he's such an available guy. So next time we get together, we're hoping that maybe I can send him a Zoom invitation.
Absolutely. I think so. You know, the experience shows that if we go through Dr. Biden, his wife first, a lot of times, she's pretty good about making sure he's where he needs to be.
Oh, I love that. So just real quick, I just want to know from you why you want to be a delegate. I mean, Susan is a veteran delegate and we want to send her back. And what ignited you?
You know, I've never been a delegate to the congressional district, to the Democratic National Convention. I have been a delegate to our legislative events, both in Sacramento and Washington, D.C., where other labor leaders elect us to go on their behalf. You know, this one's big. I'd like to go not only for myself and for the firefighters I represent, but also for my wife, who's a teacher, for everybody who's in our communities. You know, I think if nothing else, the pandemic has shown that, you know, firefighters for years, we've been considered essential workers. We're not the only ones. And, you know, I think that everything is on the table for this election, whether it's the available seats in the Supreme Court, climate change, the fight for 15. There's about 100 issues that make this the most critical election, I think, that I've seen, truthfully. And for those reasons, firefighters, we're action-oriented. We're a lot better being where the action is. I'd rather be in it than sitting there watching it from the sidelines. So
great. That's great. John, Bagala, and Susan Bolle. So Susan, I just want to go over real quick. People got their ballots or registered for their ballots online, and they are going to receive those ballots on the morning of June 5th, tomorrow morning, correct?
Correct. So anyone who registered for a ballot that was due last Thursday, May 28th, everyone who registered will get a ballot in their email on Friday morning, and they have until Sunday at 5 p.m. to vote. So they have 48 hours to vote. It's an online election. And remember, our district is only going to send one female and one male Joe Biden delegate to the convention. So I hope that you will vote for John and I to be those delegates.
Yes, I hope that all of you will too. And the fact that we have 2 days to do the voting once we receive our ballots in our email, it's terrific. However, I know that I have a tendency to put things off, like, oh, it's Friday, I'll just wait. How about not? How about I like the idea of kicking off your weekend by voting, and just knowing that what you're doing is you're beginning this incredible process to get Joe into the White House. I mean, I just feel like such a beginning right now. Thank the both of you for being here. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
I'd just like to thank you, Celeste. I think this is awesome. Thanks for giving us a platform to kind of try and talk to the people that are going to be casting ballots this weekend.
And we would be honored to be the delegates from Congressional District 2. Thank you.
Thank you. Be safe.
You too.